Hi there, DOI the Green Guy here, and I'm blowing the myth away that being green costs a lot of money. Stay with me for some tips, ideas, and we'll even have some fun too. I'll show you how to be green and stay green all at the same time. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you on the show. Thanks for joining me. Hi there, it's the Green Guy here, and before we do anything else, please subscribe to the channel, and we'll keep giving you tips and ideas on how to be green without spending a lot of money. Today, we're going retro. We're going retro coffee making, and there's a reason for this. But before we get into that, let's talk about the fact that these are percolators. Now, percolators were all in vogue until roughly the early 70s when the drip coffee makers came to the fore. And supposedly the reason that drip coffee makers came out was because they were faster, they were quicker, yada yada yada. It's not true, but that's another story. I personally think percolator coffees make the best coffee you can drink. Now you can talk to different people who will say no espresso is, no a mocha pot is, no an air coffee pot is. Drip coffee makers and everything under the sun. I'm sold on percolators. I love the way the coffee tastes. And that's what we have here. We have a couple of percolators. Now, as I say, I'm going retro for a reason. This right here is a percolator coffee pot that makes great percolator coffee. The problem is it burns up 1,000 watts of power to do it. Now, not that there's anything wrong with that, but the whole idea here is that this makes a faster pot of coffee than anything else. And it does. It makes 12 cups in probably about, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes. So you have to plug it in and put your coffee in and the water and all this stuff, and you'll get 12 cups of coffee in roughly 10 or 15 minutes. This is a retro coffee pot. This is actually from the 1920s. And this coffee pot only uses 350 watts of power, and granted it's not a 12 cup, it's actually an 8 cup coffee maker. You think to yourself, do you really need more than 8 cups of coffee? Maybe for you and a partner, but this is 8 cups of coffee right here, and it takes about 10 minutes to make a full pot of coffee. So you're not losing anything except cup size between the two. And this is burning 350 watts of power, and like I said, this is burning 1,000 watts of power. And I found this at an actual rummage sale when I was looking around for actually just a bunch of stuff. And this percolator was on the table, and I asked if it worked, and they said it did. And of course, they painted the handle red, so you know you could sand that off if you wanted to, but it works just the way it works, and it's beautiful. As you can see, it's already percolating. Now, these old coffee pots, these old percolators, didn't have an automatic off switch like these did here. So what these came with is they actually have a plug-in with an off and on switch on the actual plug. Now, and I'll flip it a couple of times so you can hear it. That's off, and that turns it on. That's because when it's done percolating, you turn it off and you pour yourself coffee in a cup. Well, of course, you know, being the green guy, we don't want to and this one will keep your coffee hot all day. That's not very efficient. What is efficient is getting a thermos, a thermal type coffee pot where you can take the hot coffee once it's percolated, just like this is, and you turn it off, and as soon as you take your first cup, you pour the rest of it into a thermal jug like this, a thermal coffee pot, and put the cover on, and it will stay hot for hours. Just like this baby here, if you keep it plugged in. But we're not using any energy to keep it hot. And that's another way to be green. And you know, I got this at the same rummage sale actually for, I think it was $1. I'm not spending a whole lot of money to do this, people. And I'm being green at the same time. And that's the whole idea here. Anyways, you can see this one is percolating. It's making wonderful coffee, and I'll tell you, this thing makes as good a coffee as this, and this thing is almost 100 years old. Goodness gracious. Burns up less electricity, which means it uses less energy, which means ultimately more money in your pocket. So hey, let's see how this coffee turned out. I think it's about done percolating. We could let it go a little longer. We could stop it now and we'll see how it looks. Once again, throw the switch, that turns the coffee pot off. We have a cup here. See how nice and beautiful it looks? Look at that, nice and brown and hot. It just doesn't get any better than this. Plus, look at how easy this pours. This is just wonderful. And there you have it, retro coffee at its finest, right here. You're saving money, and hey, that's one of the ways I'm blowing the myth away that being green costs a lot of money. Because it doesn't, and I've just proved it again. Hey, we'll see you here next time. Thanks for joining me. It's been the Green Guy.